Hello. Hey, Denise R. How you doing, sweetie?
I am swell. How are you?
Well, I'm not swell, but my soul is swell. My body's a mess. But you know what? What the hey? I'm Holly Elissa Bruno. This is and welcome to Trauma Survivors Walking Each Other Home. And those trauma survivors would be Denise Rokiki and me, Holly Elissa Bruno. And we haven't recorded together since the beginning of December because I've been more than halfway around the world in remarkable India. And so here we are, had trouble getting in technologically. Denise, how do you, as a trauma survivor, deal when things go cray cray
Uh,
technologically?
I drank a lot of water. Like I had to go fill up my water again.
The girl says she's drinking again.
Yeah,
Water. Good move, girl.
but yeah, I do get a little bit anxious, I guess is the sensation, and but we worked through it.
We did. And you know what? We did what trauma survivors do. And guys, I'm going to ask the people who are with us or joining us after this program when it goes out online. Look, when things go flat, when they don't work, when things are just not working, what do you do as a trauma survivor? And Janice gave us the first answer. The first thing is to feel anxious. For me, it can accelerate. I can feel incompetent. Do you have that?
Yeah,
Like,
why won't this work? It worked every time. And since whatever I got it from Rosa in February, it's worked for a year, that link.
right. And I went off to India, came back last week. I knew you couldn't be there because you were with your family. And my link on my Zoom page was gone. I said, it's okay, I'll figure this out. And I did. Somehow I figured out how to record, and I recorded a program and I sent it and went off to the cloud, and
Rosa.
then it went off to get sent out. So I figured, I said, we're good. But then what happened this week, friends and neighbors, is I got on again, but I'm waiting for Janice, and Janice is using the old link and can't get in. So when things go crazy, trauma survivors go to is, I must have done something wrong.
Yeah, what's wrong with me?
I blew it. I'm not getting it right. But then what's your next thing as a creative person, Denise? What's your
I
next
took
approach?
I took a drink and I followed the instructions. Call Rosa,
Ah,
which I don't
self-care.
like.
So,
Yeah, which I don't like talking on the phone. That's like my least favorite thing to do. Like I avoid talking on the phone. So that gave me a little
oh,
more anxiety and I was like, "Oh," but
oh,
then I did
Jesus.
it.
You
Took a
did. You
drink.
called her.
I
Oh, my
called
God.
her, and then we got together on the message that all three of us are on.
So, my friends, if you're just joining us, we are starting a program here. We're starting our last 2024 program, Trauma Survivors Walking Each Other Home. And as we're started, we hit a major bump in the road. And the bump in the road is we couldn't get on. And now what we're discovering is a bump in the road can ping, 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 bring up other bumps in the road. And Janice and I have just discovered something we didn't know we have in common. Neither of us likes to talk on the phone.
Mhm.
I don't like to talk on the phone. That's why if I thumb back here, I asked you if you could call Rosa. Right now,
Right.
that's
And
a
I
simple
said,
thing for
I
people
said,
who are
I
like,
do Zoom on my computer, not my phone.
right. And so Denise says that. And I go and I say, want me. You say, Denise says, I don't know how. Okay, then so I say, want me to stop and call Rosa. I get it that there's a block to calling Rosa. So then, thanks to Denise, Rosa's our wonderful
Tech woman.
Detroit-based virtual assistant who serves as tech woman for this program. And then I look down and we got this note. Sorry, I can't see that, but it says, I'm already on here, Holly Elissa, trying to see what we can do. I'm going to try to see if I can get in. And so Denise writes, that's great, Rosa, because that's our natural trauma response. Support somebody that's trying to do something good.
Right, to make it happen.
Right. So then we get into this big long thing. I'm saying my Zoom calendar no longer has the handy link that I click on to get in each week. Last week, I found a way in and I recorded to cloud. You got that one, yes? This week, I cannot include Denise. So Rosa does the classic coaching thing and says, reboot. That was it, basically.
Rebooted.
So I said, okay, Denise suggested the same thing. And Denise writes, I tried restarting my laptop and it didn't fix the issue. And I say, right, thanks. Reboot didn't do it for me either. And there's a smiling face from Denise. I'm saying all this stuff because I think there's classic trauma survivors' way of coping in here. I think there is. And then Rosa says, I'll try right now to send a link to you both. However, you have to be the one to launch it. And anyway, we keep going. And then Rosa does, I can't say it was a trauma survivor, but she says, it's been too quiet. That's why all this is happening.
Because we had like the month off.
Sorry, sweetie.
Because we had the month off.
And right. For people that don't know, I have been traveling throughout India intensely. And Denise, and we couldn't do the recording because it was just too crazy with time differences. So I thought, great, we're going to start up again. However, Rosa says, try to get on now. I launched the meeting so far. I don't have my face. Oh, yeah. Okay.
I think she signed on as you because it was your Zoom profile photo.
Maybe that was it.
So she was able to pretend to be you.
Got it.
And she launched the meeting. And I used the same link that I had before. I did not use a new link. But at this time, because when I first got on, I noticed, because I always get on at 1:45. I have an alarm that goes off at 2:30. Then I go to the bathroom, fill my water, come back. And by 2:45, I'm, on the Zoom link. And it typically has a little wheel and it says, the host has not arrived yet. We'll inform the host whenever it comes on. But this time it said the meeting was scheduled for December 9th. So it was as if, yeah. So it took me to a back one or something. I don't know.
Well, that's interesting. Maybe because we didn't do December 9th, somehow the schedule is set up that we defaulted on the 9th. And so we got to start again. Anyway, my friends, if you're just joining us, we are two trauma survivors walking each other home. And the latest bump we just ran into is
coping with our bumps.
Oh my God, bumps in the road. This is such a major thing, this trauma survivors dealing with the bumps in the road, that it's no surprise. So I want us to start again. Here we are. We're on. Denise, it's good to see you.
And good to see you too.
Thanks,
Happy
honey.
birthday approaching.
Happy my goodness. My friends, I have until 6 a.m. tomorrow morning to be 78 years old. And then at 6 a.m., I become 79. And that's my last year to be in this 70th decade, whatever it's called. And then I get to be 80. I mean, honey, I'm not sure I'm not an octogenarian yet, but here's the thing. If you're a trauma survivor and you're listening, did you expect to live as long as you have? Denise, did you expect to be all of 39 or 62 or 65 or
I didn't.
whatever?
I thought I would die young. I really did think I was going to die young. And now here I
Any,
am old.
right. Now, any idea what that was about? Why'd you think you were going to die young?
Um, I don't know. I also always had this mantra that older is better
Hmm.
in my mind, that I was going to survive that childhood and
Wow.
it would be better. And I also would say that when I get old, I'm going to jump in front of a TARDA bus because I don't want to be old. So interestingly, I had, all three of those beliefs.
Bing, bang, boom.
Right.
I'm not going to get old, but being old is a good thing until I get sick and die. So I'm not
Right.
going to get sick enough and old enough to die, but I am now. I'm 78, almost 79, and you are 65, girl. What's your, what, 66?
66.
66.
Yep.
Right. And you're getting ever closer to that magic time when your Social Security clicks in.
66 and 8 months.
Oh my God, it's so good. So
So
good.
close.
Wow. And I want to say a kind of miracle that happened to me today.
Okay.
Let's just talk about this. Is just life,
Yeah.
life in the trauma survivors lane. I've been off in India. I've been in more than halfway around the world. I've been living in different cultures. Everybody but me spoke Hindi. I'm in this small group of like 8 people. I'm the eighth. And it's fascinating. I mean, it is fascinating. And everything, every day there's something new, and the newness is old. They're like 6th century sculptures and architecture and mythology I don't begin to understand. And I'm like all ears, just learning all of this stuff. Meanwhile, I'm learning the culture because we're going to people's homes. And you know what? We don't do plates today, Holly Elissa. We're doing banana leaves. And sweetie, the kids would love this. They put out a banana leaf and then they serve stuff on the banana leaf. You eat right off the banana leaf. If you don't want a fork, you can have a fork. You order naan or some kind of bread and you just soak stuff up. It's almost like the Ethiopian method of having this bread called injera, and you just pick stuff up and you eat. Is very essential. I loved it. Anyway, here I am having all of these cultural experiences. It's wonderful. I'm halfway around the world, and then I come home. And the day that I get on the airplane in Bombay, which is Mumbai, I'm eating at this lounge. It's an executive lounge. And I bite into I'm going to do this without getting sick again. I bite into, those little tiny mozzarella balls. They're often spiced with like hot pepper and olive oil, and they're kind of cool. I bit into one, and the thing was hollow inside and was kind of unpleasant. I said, oh, I don't like that. But I went on to something else. When I got on the plane, dog, I was sick as a dog. Now in business class, which I buy to take care of myself. So I'm going to be on flying for 20 hours. I get to lie flat. I get food. I get somebody who's assigned to me, all this stuff. Thank God I did that, because I'm like, so I click the flight attendant thing and I say, I feel nauseous. I know we're going to take off. Can you get me some of those bags? Well, honey, I was sick for 5 hours. Once we took off, I was like close to the bathroom. Thank God. I was so sick. And I'm not going to describe the whole thing, but oh my God, 20 hours of flying, being sick. That was such a re-traumatization, because one of the things I look forward to, and then one of the ways I've taken care of myself is to save up and pay for a cabin of my own where I can lie flat, where I have a blankie, where I have my own TV and I can hook up to music, or I can watch some movies. Like I watched this thing called White Bird, I think, with Helen Mirren. It was fantastic about Nazi times, but hope. Anyway, I'm sick as a dog. And they're coming in. I can smell all this food being cooked, and they're coming in with food. And I'm going, I don't think I want to see food. Oh my God. No,
Right.
thank you. I get through the 5 hours of flight. And that's really just an introduction. And I land in Qatar. And a wheelchair comes up to pick me up and take me to the lounge. I've got like a 2-hour stopover. And I'm so sick, I take all these sickness bags with me. And I have this moment that's really, I'm going to make this the pivotal moment to talk about when it comes to being a trauma survivor. I know I've got another 15 hours of flight. I know I have no energy. I know I'm like hardly able to walk. And I get to the lounge, and one of the attendants says to me, the wheelchair guy says, "Would you like me to call a medic?" Denise, what would you have said if you're like more than halfway around the world? You've been tossing cookies right and left. You just want to get home.
I would probably say I'll be fine.
Thank you.
Don't
Thank you
bother.
for telling that truth. Don't bother. I'm good. We'll get there. Huge force in me was to say that, Denise. And if you're a trauma survivor, what would you say if somebody said, "You want me to get a medic?" Instead of the hunkering down, I'll take care of myself. Hunkering down means just get my body back home. And from there, I'll find a way to be okay. Get me
Right.
back in my environment. That's what a trauma survivor does. When I have been hurting, I just hunker down, which means I go into this little ball inside of myself, protect myself on the outside, on the inside. I just go into a hibernation state. It's just hibernation. It's survival. I think it's
Right. I don't
somewhat
want anybody seeing me when I'm sick. I just want to be by myself. Leave me alone, right?
because why? Because when you were a sick kid, what happened?
No, there wasn't anybody.
And that's what a trauma surviving trauma therapist has said to me. Being a sick child, when we're traumatized children, nobody's there for us.
So we know we can get through it ourselves.
So we know the only thing is to get through it ourselves. We know if we ask for help, what's going to happen?
Rejection.
Rejection, abandonment, it's going to be worse. So why expose myself to that? So here's the miracle.
You said yes.
I said, well, first off, yeah, that was the result. And I went inside myself and I said, do it. The more mature voice inside of myself said, do it. And when I checked in to that soulful part of myself, which some people call the loving inner parent, I just call it my true self. It's that part of myself that's the survivor, but it's more than just a survivor. It's not an anxious kid surviving, hunkered down, hibernating. It's a voice of, we can do
Mature
this.
wisdom.
Yeah, it's the wisdom, sweetheart, that trauma survivors develop on our own. And yet, this required something different. You said it. The normal thing for a trauma survivor would say, "I'll be okay. I'll just wait this out. Don't mess with me." But inside of myself, I said, when the staff said to me, "Do you want to see a medic?" I said, "Yes, bring the medic." There I am with my sick bags on one side. I'm in a wheelchair. I'm in the most comfortable but visible part of the lounge. Food is way over there. I don't want to go there. Showers are there. I don't have time. All I'm trying to do is just not get sick again and get home. This guy, and Doha is so international, and very few Americans there. I mean, it's like people from all over the Middle East, people all from all over the world. people are speaking English, but I'm not seeing Americans. I'm seeing a lot of women in their garb. I'm seeing a lot of men in their garb. I'm seeing wonderful stuff. And so I say yes. And then I don't have a second guess about it. Women more than, this is the research I learned years ago. Women more than men second guess ourselves. What's your thought about that, Denise? Why would women more than men second guess ourselves?
Well, we haven't been afforded the opportunity to be the bosses of ourselves. We don't get practice.
We don't get practice. We're not seen as authority figures. And Simone de Beauvoir in The Second Sex said, even if I see myself as an authority figure, the world's not going to see me as an authority figure. So there's that spiritual and cognitive dissonance again. I think I'm doing something smart. I think I'm a capable person, and the world goes, you're invisible. I don't see you.
Especially old women.
Honey, that's a re-traumatization for trauma surviving women. We get seen as when we're younger because of the energy. We get seen one way or the other in many ways, but the older we get, unless you got purple hair,
Which I
what
kind of
happens?
like it. I like it that I'm invisible in a way,
And what do you love about? What do you like about that?
I can just go my own way, I'm not encumbered.
Sorry for the noise.
It's okay. I'm sorry for your sore throat.
Thank you. The food poisoning passed, and the day that passed, in came the chest congestion. So I've been hunkered down recovering from both. And let's go back to, because what we're talking about here is really right on point. When we get sick, trauma surviving children who become trauma surviving adults, we know, don't ask for help because ain't nobody going to be there. And we'll probably get rejected again. We won't be believed. I mean, I've had all these experiences. Saddest thing for me was that I was supposed to have been hospitalized and my parents refused. Why did they refuse? Well, it looked like they refused because they had obligations to their family, and that was the most important thing to them, is for them to meet their obligations to their families.
Right.
Sick kid, threw her on the bed. And that's what happened. I was carried from one not new house, but new setting of a family
member, right.
to another. And there would be a bedroom where everybody put their coat room became a coat room. And that's where I got put on the bed. I just get put on the bed. The doctor that I finally got taken to, not because my parents would take me to a doctor, but literally because I passed out in the upstate New York snow, and because a non-relative in-law who married into the family, Jack Adirante, of course I remember that 70 years later, he saw me collapse and faint in the snow. He brought me in the house and said to my parents, you have got to get her help. She is really sick. Reluctantly, then they accepted that they had to call a doctor. So here I am, more than halfway around the world, and the retriggerization, I don't know if that's a word, but the retrigger is I'm getting sick to my stomach. Now that's visible sick.
Right.
People are not supposed to see that. Well, I'm doing my best so people don't see that, and so that I don't appear to be sick. But I'm watching the lights on the bathroom, so I know exactly when I can get there or not. And if somebody else gets up before me, I turn right around, come back. Anyway, I want to go to that pivotal moment, Denise, where I was asked, do you want to see a medic? And my soul, my true self, my healing self said yes. And I broke the rule that you articulated so clearly. The rule was, we don't ask for help. We are fine, which means effed up, emotional. F up effed up,
Insecure.
insecure, neurotic, and all over the place emotionally, right? That's what FINE
Emotional.
means. Yeah,
Fine.
right. So I intuitively said, yeah. And I sat in that wheelchair, my baggie ready, and I'm going, wow. And I felt at peace.
Right. Look at me.
It's
I
like,
did it.
I did it. I asked for help. And then this guy came zooming up on his bike. And as I was starting to say, Dohar is just so worldly. So this guy comes in and he's Asian. I mean, he looks like an Asian country when he comes in on his bike and he's maybe 30 years old. And he asked me what's going on. I said, tell him, sick to my stomach, ate something Bombay. He says, I'll do your vitals, okay? I said, yeah, please. He does my vitals, he gives them to me, and they're fine. This was pivotal and essential. I said, okay, and that adult, matter of fact, soulful part of me says, so I'm okay to get on a plane. It's just food poisoning. He said, yeah, it looks that way. So I said, thank you. Thanks. And then I said, I'm okay. And I'll be okay. And then the survival stuff came to me. I said, Holly, you got your little place in business class where you can shut the door. You don't have to eat a thing. They'll give you a blankie. Yeah, it's over 15 hours of flying, but
You
you can
got
ask
it.
for, you got it. I got it. I'll get there. And then they come back in the wheelchair, they wheel me on. I get in my seat, and up comes first flight attendant. And I say, look, I'm going to tell you, I had food poisoning, so I'm not going to want food. It'll be a surprise if I do. So I'm not going to look at the menu, etc. But I'm going to be okay. And I know inside myself, because we're code talkers. Does that make sense to you? Trauma
Yep.
survivors, code talkers? I've never said that out like that before. What does it mean to you?
That we mask that we're okay
Mm-hmm.
sometimes when we're not.
It's like you as a lesbian know how to come across as hetero as you need to be.
Yep.
There's a threat. Like what's one example of what you do? If you know you got to appear, you're like the dominant culture.
Right. I don't mention a lot of things that other people would readily message, right?
So number one, don't talk. Number two, is there a certain way that you change the way you look?
Probably, yeah, like when I was trying to decide what clothes to take to on my trip, what to be with the Southern Ohio, the Columbus area people. I took some clothes that I normally don't wear, but they're more feminine, they're, more acceptable, more normal.
And when you talk, so you said two things already. One, zip the lip so you don't reveal anything. Don't talk about anything that might reveal who you are, your true self. Number two, take costumery.
Right.
Take the costumes you need to wear if you need to cover up. Number three, when you do speak, what's going on? What kind of code are you speaking if you do speak?
Right. I will filter what I talk about before I talk about it.
So, my friends, if you haven't heard this before, and I haven't as a trauma survivor, here's something trauma survivors do. We code talk. So we look like, I'll speak for myself, I look like I'm going to be okay. You don't have to do anything. I'll be just taking care of myself here. I don't need your attention. I'm just going to, just go about your business. Don't even think twice about me. That was the code talking and code behaving I was doing on this airplane. Because I came in on a wheelchair. That's tip number one. Tip number two, I'm saying, I had food poisoning. So I'm not going to be interested in food. Now comes the alarm bell. Guess what happens next, Denise? In comes the head of the flight attendants. She introduces herself by name, very professional. And she says, I am blah, blah, blah. And I want to be sure you're okay. I mean, she doesn't say it in those terms, but she's checking me out. Instantly, my survivor self goes into, this is a person with whom I'm not safe. She's a decision maker. She can decide whether or not she wants me on her plane.
Right.
And the code speak came up profoundly. I know how to do it, honey. You know how to do it. I become dignified. I become generic, not generic like boring generic, but I become dignified and authoritarian, not condescending, but don't mess with me kind of thing. I've got this kind of power. So she said to me, you're sick. What's going on? Want to be sure you're able to fly. And I got this feeling, which trauma survivors do all the time. Is this person safe or not safe? If the person's safe, I'm okay. If the person's not safe, no, I'm not okay. So I realized I needed to direct whatever energy I had to persuading her without looking like I was persuading anybody that I was going to be just fine. So my survivor's brain went into that place of competency. No. Thank God it didn't yet drop down to the fear state of incompetency.
Right.
So can you imagine what I said?
I'm fine. I was sick. I'm not sick now. I just want to rest.
And the biggie, those four things, but the biggie, I realized in that moment of choosing to see a medic, I bought myself insurance.
Oh, right. The doctor said I'm fine to fly.
So I said, and I made it sound like, look, I got food poisoning in Bombay. I was sick on the last flight. When I landed, I chose to see a medic, got my vitals. My vitals are all perfectly normal. And so I know I'm okay. Food poisoning comes and goes. And what I'm saying to you is I'm probably not going to eat much on this flight. I'm going to sleep, I'm going to rest, and I'm going to stay hydrated. Now, we know that that's what a flight attendant boss lady needs to know, right?
Right.
She's not going to get sick, so I'm not going to be liable for anything. She can take care of herself. She's not going to cause an emergency situation. She's talking logically and clearly. I didn't do my emotional intelligence thing with her. I didn't say, come on, sweetie, I know myself well, and I know I'm going to be okay. I don't like this, but I didn't do any of that. I said, medic, chose the medic, got the vitals good. Food poisoning common in other countries. Hydrate,
Right.
rest. Boom, boom, boom. And once I could see that I had satisfied her checklist for liability, because there's that attorney in me too. What's going on in an attorney conversation? The question underneath it is, who is potentially who's effing liable? I let her know. She's good. You're not going to be liable. I'm going to take care of myself. She won't have to do anything. And I watched the other flight attendants. What were they doing with me? What they were mainly doing was what had to be done for hydration. They weren't necessarily checking on me for anything else. They didn't go above and beyond. They just did the hydration and let me be by myself. Toward the end of the flight, and there was a funny moment where I had just crashed because just totally slept. And then I heard these plates clinking, and I thought, wow, maybe we're getting toward Boston. Maybe we're within a couple of hours. Maybe it's breakfast or lunch or whatever the meal is. And I said, okay, time to get up and use the bathroom. It's a smart thing to do. Watch to see that there was a clear, direct path to the bathroom. Got in the bathroom, made sure I was looking as healthy as I could, taking care of myself, washing off. And I then met up with a flight attendant and I said, so is this breakfast? Are we close to Boston? She said, I wish. She said, you can watch this on your screen. I said, yeah, I've been sleeping. I didn't say to her, I'm technologically impaired and I can't always get that information right away. So I need you to let me know person to person. I just said, okay, so where are we? And she said, oh, we're barely halfway there. I said, okay, thanks. It's good to know. I'm not eating because I'm just calming down after, I didn't use that word. I said, I'm just resting after food poisoning. No, I'm not eating, but it's good to know I'm good. Again, what's the message I'm conveying? It's good to know I'm good. You're not going to be liable. You don't have to worry about me. And what is Denise Rokicki? What is a little child who's vulnerable continuously saying to her caregivers who never care?
I'm fine.
Mm-hmm.
But inside I would be, could you bring me some chicken broth?
And that's beautiful that you could do that. And so the part of me that was, first of all, I did not want Aunt to see anything except water because I knew
Right.
anything else I'd be getting sick. And I was sick a few times. And I got bunches of those. Boy, those bags have become really efficient. I had no clue how efficient they are, but you can't mess with those bags. I mean, the sickness bags, they don't leak, they fold, they're, oh my God, somebody got that right. Ergonomic sickness bags. Anyway, when I knew things were changing was when it had been about 12, 13, 14 hours on the flight. And I started feeling like I haven't had anything to eat for 20 hours. And my energy's really low. And then I thought, BRAT. Do you know what BRAT stands for?
Banana.
Rice. Banana
Egg,
rice.
apples, tea. I don't know what the R and the T are.
So BRAT, rice, banana, rice,
Right.
applesauce, toast. And cheese probably good too. But those are the things, if food poisoning has hit, that it's okay to eat, and or it's okay for diarrhea too. And food poisoning is like a tsunami that comes through the system. Everything, everything gets wiped out. Oh my God. I'm just feeling like, boy, was I taken care of. To be close enough to the bathroom, to have my own place. I mean, if I were in a 3-seat area and I had to climb over somebody, I would not have wanted. Oh, geez, I'm pro. Scary, scary. But I could make it to the bathroom, lock the door, and put my head like this and just be sick, or just put my head like this, or splash my face, and just, on long flights, you can spend more time in the bathroom.
Right.
As I got toward the end of the flight, I said, BRAT, okay, so banana, applesauce. So I went back to where the flight attendants were, and I said, I'm getting a little bit hungry. So I know I can eat a banana or applesauce. Do you have either one? And they said, no, we don't serve bananas, but one of us will have one. We'll help you. So they brought me a banana. Had a bite of banana, I didn't get sick. Hooray. The thing that saved my soul and my body was that on this cutter, QATAR, there's no need for a U in the cutter language. No QU, you know? So cutter, or Qatar, at the drinks that they offer when you get on a plane. I mean, you can have champagne, you can have mimosa, you can have water, you can have coffee, you can have scotch, you can have anything you want in business class. They're ready for you. And often I'm offered a champagne and I say, yeah, bring it. You know, that sounds fun. I'm celebrating. So the idea of anything to drink. No, thank you. But they had this thing that was made of mint, was green, had mint, honey, and lemon. And it looked like it was a kind of blended thing. It might have had some kind of a other herb or kale or something in it. But I could drink that. It soothed my exhausted gullet. It tasted healing. The mint was good. The honey was good. The lemon was good. And it had a sweetness to it that wasn't sickly sweet. I probably had 12 of those.
Wow.
But again, and they were little, you know, but I did the code talk. I said to the flight attendant, I didn't get his name, and I always get their names, but I didn't get his name. I said, hey, look, this I can drink. And so I'm going to ask for a number of these. Can you just keep me sure that I have them? So every time I'd go to sleep and wake up, there'd be one there for me. And then I'd also ask for bubbly water on ice. And that would be there for me. And then they brought the banana. And then I said, do you have something that's like healthy bread, not whole grain, but just something that I could chew on? So they brought me bread, all kinds of bread. I tried that. It was too much. So the whole way back, I drank, and I just crave it right now, thinking about it. Mint, honey, lemon. And we landed.
Yay.
Yeah, it was a big yay, but that wasn't the end of the story, because I have to go through customs.
Uh-huh.
And I have to meet someone at the curb. I have a ride arranged. And usually I'm healthy, so I just get my bags and have one of those push carts if it's international, and I meet people at the curb. So I texted my friend, and it's usually a man, but in this case, it was my friend who's the wife of this guy. And I said to her, I don't think I can come outside. This was Boston. It was really cold, and I just come out of 100-degree, 90-degree India. I said, I'll get as close as I can. So she, being a trauma survivor herself, figured out as much as she could. Anyway, we negotiated it. And here was the one time I thought I might be overtaken by my people-pleasing trauma stuff. This lady, friend of mine, is a grandmother. She has 2 grands. They're living with her now. They're a big part of her life. And I wanted to hear about them, and I also wanted to show interest in them. But that showing interest in hearing about the grands, I did that as much as I could. And then I said, Sandra, she asked me if I was hot. I said, no, I'm comfortable. She said, I should probably take this coat off, but it's hard. What she was saying was, keeping it warm for me was making it too hot for her. 3 things. I didn't take care of her. I said, this is a comfortable temperature for me, so I hope you can make it comfortable for you somehow. 2, I said, I'm really glad to hear about how Hanukkah has gone. Jewish Christian family. Really glad to hear about that. Now I need to rest. Can't talk anymore. Went back in my chair, 3 hour ride, usually like an hour or something, 3 hour ride back home. I sleep or I'm, what's the word, dissociating in the car so I can just get myself home. And the thing that was great there was that I didn't resort to the people pleasing thing,
Right.
pretending that I didn't need to just be quiet. I could do that. When we got to the house, I had 3 bags. I said, I cannot get these bags in the house, but it's all, as you know, one floor. All I need you to do is get them out of the car into the kitchen, and that's it. Once I got into my kitchen, all I did was open one of my bags and took out anything essential that I had to have. And usually when I get home, I do a smart check, spectacles, all this stuff. Do I have my medication?
Right.
Do I have my passport? Do I have my wallet? All of that. But I did not even mess with that. I just said, can I walk up the stairs and get in my bed? Can I take water with me to stay hydrated? Can I let people know I'm here? And can I climb up the stairs? And girl, I did that. Now, there's one other thing I want to say that's different. I knew that I was really sick when I got home. My spiritual groundedness was floating. So instead of feeling like I'm home, this is good, I felt like I'm between two worlds. I'm between many cultures. I'm between alive and dead. I'm between sickness and health. And I got in that sort of scary state. It could have been scary that I, as a child, knew often, which was, I don't know who I am or where I am. And I see what you're doing. It's like, oh my God. And I'm gonna just heal. And here's what I've learned as a trauma survivor. Healing does not mean running away from or avoiding or pretending I don't feel this way. So I said to myself, yeah, this feels strange. I feel like I'm between living and dead. I don't know how my body's going to do here. I'm alone. I might need help. I'm not sure I'm going to make it. I don't feel grounded in my own body. So what did I do? And here it is again, just like my soul knew to ask for the medic. I contacted 2 of my BFFs and I said to them, I'm sick. I'm home. I need a hopefully well patient check-in. Can you? And then I thought, I don't want him to call because I don't like to talk on the phone.
Right.
There's a whole other topic there, Denise. It's called phone trauma. And I think we've got phone trauma. And I think that's pretty common for a lot of trauma survivors.
Yeah, it's a nightmare to me.
We got to talk about that. Why? I mean, here we both are. You're a teacher. I'm a teacher. I'm a public speaker. How can you, who to talk? We need to talk. How is it that we don't want to talk on the phone? Anyway, I'm sick as a dog. And I'm saying, Holly, you don't want people calling you. That'll be upsetting. So I'm texting. I said, look, I will check my texts every 3 or 4 hours. And if I don't text you back every 3 or 4 hours, give me another hour or two and then text me again. And if I don't get right back to you, then let's take it to the next step. And I made sure the 2 of them could be in touch with each other so they 2 could decide what to do if I wasn't in touch. That helps me so much, just knowing that I wasn't alone. And if
Right.
I
Somebody
was,
knows.
somebody knows, and people know, care. and they're going to be touching base. And they did. And days later, when my friend Ted called and he said, this is a well patient call, I said, thank you so much. That really matters to me. So we are in the last, like, probably 20, 15 minutes of our program. And I believe what we've talked about here is in the midst of the most severe re-traumatization that an adult trauma survivor can have, what did I learn from this trip about taking care of myself? What was healing? What is still difficult? And listening to me, I'm just going to ask you, listening to me, paying attention from your own standpoint as a trauma survivor, what are you picking up that you might articulate that could help other trauma survivors going through being sick halfway around the world?
You were able to listen to your soul voice. You were able to go in and say yes to help. That's the hugest thing right there.
I think you're
And
right.
and you kept doing your self-care that you know, which was drinking that concoction of lime and honey or lemon and honey and knowing that was good for you. And so you did a lot. And requesting someone to look out for you when you weren't going to be okay. All of that is healed behaviors.
Thank you. And I came through it and I realized, because there's always darkness and light, right? And lightness and dark. I made it through. I'm still not 100%, but I'm done with the food poisoning thing. You know what? I got cold sore, which I only get when my autoimmune system gets really attacked. So when I started feeling this sharp feeling right here, I said, that's it, honey. The autoimmune system got really jerked around. I realized, and I let myself feel it because that's recovery from trauma. When I felt the loneliest and the most, not dissociated, but the most unsafe, I allowed myself to experience that. And what I experienced, now this is going to be stark and truth telling. You know, I think now about the passing over, the going into the next life, if there is a next life, or the simple end of this life, dying. I think about that because I'm closer. And every day, I'm aware that somebody's getting sick or somebody's dying. And then literally on my way to India, I found out that my dear friend, for like since 1988, my dear friend Wendy, whom I was supposed to see shortly after I got back from India. We hadn't seen each other for a while because she's been dying of cancer, or she's been in remission. Treatment, remission. And she finally got to this place where she said, I'm not doing treatment anymore. So I hadn't seen her for like a year and a half. And I respected her boundary, but I would write her and tell her from my soul and heart how I loved her and share things with her. And so before I went to India, I wanted to be at peace with her. And I wrote and I said, you know, I'd really love to just sit beside you and share as we always share, if that would be healing for you. I know it would be for me. And she wrote back and said, I'd like to see you. I would like to do that. Know that probably the most I can spend with anybody is about an hour. So come on over. And I said, okay, I'll be back from India December 2019. She said, come over on the 21st. I agreed. And then as I'm leaving, I get an email saying, Wendy has died. Why am I talking about this? Because there are states we get into. Well, I can only speak for myself, but I've been with people who are dying. And there are states of detachment people go through. And my sister, the doctor, said to me, people really, there are detachment things people do. And so I thought, as I was looking at myself, am I detaching here? Am I detaching? And I entered a place of kind of floating. I didn't know if I was really not knowing if I was going to recover or not. I didn't feel like I was dying, but I didn't feel like I was living. And here's the amazing thing is just like I had the courage to say, bring on the medic. I had the courage to say, feel this. And it felt more sorrowful than I had ever felt before. I felt like I had this sorrow of the world in me. Did I want that? I chose to feel. Did I like that? I'd rather feel happy. Was it part of life? Yes. And so I made decisions. There's another friend of mine who I think is gone mentally. I think she's in a place of dementia. And I did everything I could to reach out to her and couldn't connect. And the people that I know that know her are not trauma survivors, so they're not able to say when I'm not able to when I ask the question, look, if I go visit her, am I going to be with her or am I going to be with a person who's going through dementia? I need to know because that can be painful.
Yeah.
People that are mentally ill. And I need to know when I'm walking into assisted living, who am I going to meet here? I mean, I can adjust fast, but that's not the way I want to be. I want to be more loving to myself. If I'm going to be with someone who's got dementia, that's what I want to know I'm going to be with. I chose to go be with my beloved brother-in-law, Bruce Lansing Hall, when he had dementia. And it was painful as hell to be with his body, looking into his eyes and realizing all of that soul-to-soul connection was gone. Anyway, what did I do during that brief time when I was in touch with what it was like to float between worlds? I said, it's important for me to tell my son I love him. I always get to that point if something's going on. So I told him I love him. I told Cole, I love you, and I'm back. I'm home. I'm sick. I think I'm going to be okay, but I'll keep you posted. And I just need to rest now. So that was at least connecting with him. And then to my friend Marina, I wrote, told her what was going on. And I said, I have been afraid of being with you. Are you still here? Wherever you are is okay with me, but I need to know as much as you can tell me. And that healed my soul, just being able to say that. And I realized, what am I doing? I'm making the amends that haven't been made. That was an open-ended thing. I had made amends with Wendy. When she died, I could grieve. I was sad. It was awful. I miss her this moment. But it wasn't as if things had gone unsaid. But with Marina, because of my own fears of being with people who are mentally disturbed and having to take care of them and and feeling unsafe. You know, the basic question, am I safe or am I unsafe? I had separated from her for my own safety and protection. And I did that. I reached out to her. And so what have I done this last week? I got well enough to be with my son to make sure that he and I together had a really good Christmas. Ordered out Chinese food, got both of our favorite stuff, sat around the dining room table, talked with each other. I listened to him. I love it when he gets to the place where he can tell me, Mom, I'm afraid of this. Like we were in the kitchen. I was about to cut something. I asked him if he would hand me a knife. He said, Mom, and I thought this was so helpful. He said, I don't like to be around knives. I stopped. I said, okay, I hear you. I'm open. You want to tell me? I want to know. And then he told me, that's as good as it gets.
Right.
I said, thanks. Thank you. Then I got sick again. As soon as I got better from the food poisoning and could eat again, got hungry again, then I got all congested and breathing was tough. I said, oh man. And I, must have picked up some kind of respiratory thing, which is very possible with 20 hours of flying. So I've been taking care of myself since then, resting. And I live in a state where I need to renew my driver's license by my birthday. My birthday's coming up tomorrow. I don't think I'm going to renew my driver's license to me. And you know what? That's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. So, sweetie, I want to say that this journey halfway around the world is a healing journey. I know that I love to travel, but I know that I need to travel. It is the excitement of a child. Like Denise, I saw the photographs you posted and sent me about doing crafts with your family. And I thought, there's my friend Denise. She is bringing her strength to bring herself to be with family members that are not often or always for sure able to see her, accept her, not try to control her. And there you were doing crafts with them.
It was fun.
Tell me about that.
Yeah,
because you were taking care of yourself this holiday too.
Right. Yeah, no, I've been wanting to do arts and crafts. I saved up a bunch of toilet paper rolls and was going to do it with the tutoring kids that I tutor at the farm on Wednesdays, but we ended up not meeting due to different things. They were in a show. We didn't meet. So I had all this stuff in the car and I thought, I think my mom would like that. I think my sister would like that. So they did.
Cool. So what kinds of things did you create?
Snowflakes. We made different types of snowflakes out of paper towel rolls and hot glue.
And wasn't your mother involved too?
Yeah, she loved it.
Tell me about that. What was it like to see your mother taking direction from you?
She did not take direction. She started her own way and,
Mhm.
which was fine. Same thing with my sister. I showed them the materials and they went to their creative self.
And how was that with you?
Great. I loved it too. I love having creative self-expression opportunities. So it was good. I was happy and I like to give other people, remember my favorite moment this summer was giving other
Can't
people the
forget.
opportunity to play music or express themselves creatively. So this is the same sensation of giving others the opportunity to raise their vibration to creativity.
Oh, beautifully said, to raise their vibration to creativity, because the vibration in dysfunctional families can be pretty
Repressive or
repressive, pulling us down. Uh, all the old keep quiet, keep it down, don't rock the boat stuff. And I honestly had the feeling, I flashed right back to the party that you had done with the people were in your friends, were in
right,
your car. You had all of these crafty things, and the theme was to make music. And you noticed, wait a minute, this is bringing up shame. Not everybody feels safe making music. So you went out and made that not about making music, but about free self expression.
right.
And I looked at those pictures you sent me and I said, Denise is doing this with her own family. What was healing in that for you?
It was great because that's what, we did do. The whole Christmas tree is full of things that I made as a kid
Wow.
because I was busy. So they put stuff in front of me all the time to do, like
Right, right.
uh, clowns made out of uh, clothespins and ceramic things and melty thing, just a lot of different things. So I just wanted to feel that creativity.
And let's close with this, Denise, because I think we've come to something that we also will continue to talk about. It's not just the phone fear, but it's the need to express ourselves.
Right.
What does that have to do with who you are and your ongoing recovery as a trauma survivor?
Uh, I do want it to be good, whatever I make. I do want it to be, right on. I don't want it to be dumb or ugly or. So that's part of that people pleasing. I want it to be pleasing.
Do you want it to be pleasing to you?
It's pleasing to me, the effort. That's what makes me happy. And instead of sitting there watching TV, which I don't like, but that's how I with my mom. That's what she does. And so I usually just sit there and sit next to her and she watches TV. And I mean, even that's become kind of a fond thing to do. Like I miss Jeopardy when I'm home, not, I kind of like, oh, that. And she always watches the same shows. So it's become familiar,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not a TV watcher. So I wanted to entertain myself with this snowflake. I had different options too. You could draw a one on paper, fold it up special. I had pictures of everything, and you could make a paper one. You could melt a cup down to be a flat, colorful
Mm.
thing. Then I had the paper towels. What else? I had you could paint it with glitter too.
It's the one
Yeah,
that had somebody had sparkles or not sparkles, like um balls, like like little pearls of light hanging.
yeah.
Was that yours or was that somebody's in the families?
Uh,
It's
I
like a
did. I
brown
did have
snow.
gems that you could put on.
That was it. Somebody put
Yeah,
gems on.
yeah. I did have a package of gems too. Like I just like providing the opportunity for, and every year in my classroom, the children would make a gift to take home, which was typically a sun catcher, some winter thing, not Christmas. But
Yep.
so I always facilitated, that's part of my tradition of December,
Mhm.
of facilitating arts and crafts. and to produce something, that you can gift away. Like I ended up giving my mom one of the things that I made, and I gave her neighbor, Marcia, the other one that I made.
Well,
So
that's
it was
beautiful.
just fun. I like it. I'm trying to do more things that I like.
And see, that is such a courageous thing. I'm going back to what Ray, the trauma therapist, says about, do you realize how much courage it takes for a trauma survivor to live her life? And I watched what you were doing, and I said, Denise is being true to herself in what has been a hostile environment. In fact, you are bringing yourself into a foreign environment. You're bringing your life energy and offering it, which is brave and courageous, to people that don't know that. Your mother, as do many people, listens to stuff from the outside in. That becomes her soothing and her rhythm. Jeopardy has music. All of these programs have music, and they have paces. They have did it, and they have and they carry people with them. You, from within you, carried to them not a command, but an invitation.
Right. An invitation.
And it was an invitation to what?
Creativity. Raise your vibration. If you create things, I just saw a study after I did it with my sister that said that you're doing arts and crafts raises dopamine, and it's really beautiful. It's a good thing for people to do. And so, that makes me happy too, that I'm contributing to their good mood or their dopamine intake.
Yeah, and I also feel like if identity is something that's a gift of this time, a gift of being on earth, we find our identity, which to trauma survivors was denied to us. And we help other people find their identity. If that's a part of the gift and giftedness of being on earth, that's one of the most essential things we can do. That's what I believe you did with children for so many years. It's what Teacher Denise was expert at. Teacher Denise was also inviting each child to unfold, and family member to unfold to who she really was.
Right. To explore it without
And
judgment.
explore it without judgment. And how safe and how judgment free are most children to be able to find out who they are? Where were you in a judgment free environment as a kid to find out who you were?
No. When I was on my bike,
With the
riding down
wind,
the street.
it's been 4 or 5 years since you said that. You would say the freedom you felt was bicycling down the street and feeling the wind on your face and in your hair, picking up your hair.
So good.
So good. So good. And there it is, my friend. We are doing
Happy
this.
birthday to you.
Thank you, sweetheart. Thank you.
Are you going to celebrate in some way tomorrow for yourself?
I'm going to, and I don't, my celebrations are big and they're little. My celebration was
You had
already,
oysters.
yeah, like before I went in November, I did my oyster trip. I make my oyster trek every year. That's for me. Fly to Mobile, Alabama. Go to my oyster bar where I go every year. That was a celebration. This whole trip to India. and
Celebration.
opening my soul to these cultures and these mythologies and these, oh my God, I could devote several lifetimes to learning. And there I was like a kid, learning,
Exploring.
exploring, wanting to understand things calling to me like Indian sculpture often reveals gods or individuals not as male or female, but both.
Right.
That
Yeah, they're often dual gender. They look very strong and then they look very sensual.
and they're soft and they're pliable and they're fierce. And it's like indigenous culture in the United States have, what is it called, dual nature people, where people are this are, our sexuality floats. It's not this,
Two-spirited, they call them.
it's the two-spirited people. And so there it was, and I felt like, this is fascinating. Isn't this fascinating to come from a culture where it's okay? And the thing that really, Denise, part of why my soul needs to travel is to discover what's eternal. In the United States right now, things are roiling. They're crazy. I was delighted to be away from the insanity. And here's what I rediscovered. Indian culture in general is one of accepting what we're given that we cannot change. Grant me the serenity to accept the people I cannot change, courage to change the one I can, and the wisdom to know that one is me. So when things happen, and I got to know these people, these 7 people really well, from an 85-year-old man engineer named Tushar, who had lost his wife and was traveling on his own, and to whom tears came sometimes. To another couple that I loved, she wanted to be a doctor and she missed the requirement by 1 point, so she couldn't become a doctor. He wanted to be a doctor too, but he ended up becoming a dentist because that was acceptable to her family. There are lots of different expectations for families 50, 60, 70 years ago here there in India. And so accepting, like I asked if they had children, they didn't. And in that one moment, a world got revealed. And yet here's the accepting. Many of us want to have children. If we have biological children, we do. And if we don't, can we accept that? I know people that still mourn, and it's okay, still mourn the fact that they didn't have children. I, for years, mourned the fact that biologically I didn't have my children. I adopted them. I felt that was part of this being on earth, and I wanted that. In India, when things happen, not much energy goes into, oh my God, why did it happen? The energy and the vibration goes into the grieving, the being in touch with the feeling, and the acceptance. And Denise, I find that so healing. One of the people on the trip during the time we were there, and she was one of the people in charge, her house got flooded. Happens in India, monsoon. And so much of her stuff was ruined. And one day she was in the acceptance, and the next day she was into the grief. The next day her voice was almost gone, and I said, my friend, is tell me. And she said, I most of the night I was sobbing. And yet that helps me acknowledge that life is sobbing. It is grieving. It is knowing that things are impermanent. So how healing to be in a culture where that's part of the culture and where an appreciation of beauty and timeless moments is forever. What I feel, another thing, perspective I want to offer you on what you do when you invite people to express themselves. You're inviting people into the timelessness, into the flow, as Chick sent me highly said, the flow. He said, there's that flow which is timeless when we're creating. And the energies flow through us, and we create what we can create like nobody else can create, because it's just us. It's our way of seeing the world. And that is what you do with people. That is what I do with people in my workshops, in my sessions, that's what I'm inviting people and want people to do here, is to the extent you feel safe to do so. Look at what heals you. I will look at what heals me. And so if you were to look back at this whole conversation, first we've had, month of December, last we'll have in the year of 2020 of our Lord, 2024. Tell me some of you. These of your reflections on our time together today.
I think we listen to each other, we know each other, and I think that's really helpful to check in and be our authentic selves, is practice that, and encourage each other. Keep on going, keep on healing.
He said, we listen to each other, we acknowledge each other, we encourage each other to heal. Maybe that's the essence, Denise. Thank you. Is that the essence of trauma survivors walking each other home?
That's it.
Feels like it for now, my friend. So I will see you when I'm a year older. I will see you. It's a new year. I will see you when people have got the celebration of the New Year's behind us. I will see you as your days closer to being able to support yourself with your own money that you earned.
Right.
Social Security, right?
Right. Well, so far I've supported myself on my savings, and I still got some.
Isn't that great?
Yep.
The trauma survivors' fear of becoming, especially women, trauma survivors will become bag ladies.
Right.
We'll be on the dole. We'll be on the street. There won't be anybody to take care of us, and we'll be hand to mouth. And, it'll be basically happy to just get through. Guess what? You have a loving place to live. You have a loving person that you live with. You have surrounded yourself by beauty and creativity. You have your profession as butterfly woman. You have your profession as teacher Denise that helps children become themselves. You have your profession now as an explorer for whom everything you do becomes an opportunity to be true to yourself.
Yep.
And it's the same for me. My story that I told today was one that could have 5 years ago, 3 years ago, 20 years ago, put me into a tizzy and a flurry and a, oh my God, I'm halfway around the world. Nobody knows me. I'm going to go crazy here. I mean, imagine if I hadn't taken care of myself and I'd been told, we don't want you on this plane.
Right.
And it's the old legal thing. Are you a threat to yourself or others? We're not going to take that risk. What would have happened to me? I would have been in this country, I don't know, airport, I don't know, very impersonal, but it's the airport for hours until and where would I go? A hospital? I mean, I didn't even follow up on that one because I didn't need to.
Right.
I knew I could get myself home. And that's something we don't always know as trauma survivors.
Right.
This is why we self-medicate, people please, pretend we're somebody else, survive. Think that somebody else will be there and take care of us and answer the questions for us. In the end, the question's always there, and it's ours to answer. And giving back is helping people, Rilke, learn to love the question. Okay, my friend, I love you. It's been beautiful.
Love you too. Have a happy.
You know I will. I'll think of you tomorrow when I become 79. And I will see you, and hopefully we'll see other people. And let's if it feels right, let's make a commitment to looking at how we can include other people so that they join us. I mean, you call this a group, and it has been. And then again, can be. And I think it's going to take a couple things like personal reaching out to, hey, how would you like to join us one day? And also to getting the word out to people that we know will want to know. Because what we're doing is just co-creating a space without judgment where fear gets lowered and we can just unfold. So thank you. Thank you so much. And to everybody who's listening to this, thank you. Thank you for the courage to be you and to join us.